Hi friends, my name is Catherine and today I will be making my own homemade cold porcelain. So far I've only been sculpting with polymer clay, so this is a new experience for me. I would like to mention Sugar Cafe Charms, whose tutorial/recipe I will be following here. Definitely go check her out, she makes amazing content and clay charms. I chose this pan for this batch of clay because I was going to cook it on the stove. However, I kept getting all these little clumps in the mixture that were really hard to break down, but in the end, I managed to get it pretty smooth. I will explain everything a little later because this is just the first attempt, which, as you will see, didn't go very well because I wasn't following the instructions properly. So basically, you're supposed to cook the clay on the lowest temperature possible, but even that was probably too much for my clay. Not only did it cook very fast and I wasn't able to scrape it off because of the rubber spatula, but I didn't watch the cooking part carefully, so I thought I need to wait until there are no wet parts in the clay. Watching it now, it's honestly just painful to see. The reason I thought the clay was still okay was that after conditioning it, it felt pretty nice and soft, and I was even able to make some basic shapes from it and it looked just okay. But the thing is, cold porcelain hardens as it's cooling down, so that's why I thought this attempt was successful and I celebrated too soon. I'm now in my office. I finally cleaned up the mess and I made myself a nice cup of coffee as kind of a reward for suffering through this. It wasn't bad, but it's really messy and I wouldn't call it a failure, but there are some things I could have done differently, so I will definitely try it again. Not today though, I will use the clay that I made because I think it would be a shame to just throw it into a bin, and I'm pretty sure I can still work with it. I have to do some work now, but tomorrow I will try to work with this clay I made today and I will make some clay buddies, keychains or something like that. It's supposed to be a limited edition for my summer shop update, so I hope you will like it. The next day I was ready to sculpt some cute characters, and as you can see, the clay already looks not soft enough, but I still didn't catch that. I decided to sculpt this cute pair that I designed a few months ago before creating my Etsy shop. I never actually got to create most of my original characters, first because I was busy making the first part of them, and second, well, I have to admit, I got a few comments under my first video blaming me for copying uncomfy, one person even calling my characters a plagiarism, which kinda hurt because I put a lot of effort into designing my characters, and it's very discouraging to see comments like that just because you make cute Japanese inspired figurines. So it kind of made me not to want to make the rest of the characters anymore. Anyway, as you can see, here I realized this batch of clay is useless, but I refused to give up and proceeded with sculpting the cute pair anyway, but with polymer clay. Oh, by the way, I called her Cutie Pear. I would say one of the biggest cons of polymer clay is that it catches dust particles so easily. Plus, I have 2 cats and 1 dog, so you can imagine how much of their fur is just randomly floating in the air and inconveniently landing on my clay. These pairs will be a part of my summer shop update, and there will only be 3 of them available, so if you'd like to have one of them for yourself, you can follow me on Instagram or sign up for the newsletter on my website fairysyrup.store. And we are back, baby, stronger than ever, determined to make it right this time. After watching the second tutorial by Sugar Cafe Charms, I took a different approach. First, I only mixed glue with cornstarch in a big bowl until it was perfectly smooth. Then I added coconut oil, white vinegar and white acrylic paint to make sure the clay won't have a yellow tint to it. Then I used microwave to cook the clay, which was actually much easier. You just do 30 seconds 4 times and you mix it properly each time. I could definitely feel the difference right away as I was conditioning it, and you can see that when I tear it apart, it forms a perfect teardrop shape, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. Here I'm comparing the 2 batches I did. The first one was already pretty solid and hard to work with, and it was almost impossible to make a tiny ball from it. But the second one, that's a different story. It was really soft and much easier to work with. So, with a heavy heart, I threw the first batch in the trash. Now I can finally try to make something from the second batch, and I'm making a bigger version of one of my characters. What was really annoying though was that the pigment didn't blend properly with the clay, so it left these weird tiny dots in it, which kind of spoiled the look of it. But at this point I just thought, screw it, I'm not gonna be selling it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. When attaching anything to the clay base, you need to use glue because the clay dries very fast, so it's not like with polymer clay where you can add or remove anything at any part of the process, which is both good and bad, and I guess you can see why. Also, when you're working with tiny details, these tiny parts dry so fast it's impossible to work with them further. Anyway, I'm glad I had this experience, and although it was pretty messy and sometimes frustrating, I'm pretty happy with the result and that I've learned to make my own cold porcelain clay. Well, that was interesting. Did I like working with cold porcelain? Yes and no. It's completely different from polymer clay, and I mean, the worst thing is there is no room for error. Once you mess up, you messed up, you can't fix it. I mean, mostly. You have to work very quickly because it dries up so fast, which is a big disadvantage for me because I just like to work, I don't know, at my own pace, slowly. And to be honest, this made me a little anxious, actually, because I had to work quickly, and because of that I just couldn't make it the way that I really wanted. Also, when I was putting on these leaves, they were already too dry, so they don't really look smooth. And I don't know, it's just, I thought it would be maybe easier than polymer clay because it's so soft and easy to work with. But to be honest, I don't think I'm going to be working with cold porcelain again. I mean, maybe I will make some smaller things, maybe this was just too big. But on the other hand, I think it's better for bigger things because you don't use so much material, because if you would have been doing this with polymer clay, it would cost you a lot of money to make such big figurines. You're cute, but I don't think you're worth it. I'm sorry. You're gonna be just a big brother. This is little dumpling and this is the big dumpling. They are so cute together. I mean, he's not ugly. He's pretty good, but there are just so many things that I'm not comfortable with. Maybe I just need to work with it more to get used to it. But considering I'm already working with polymer clay, I'm thinking it would be kind of counterproductive, you know? I don't know. I think the best thing ever would be if there was a type of clay that is as soft as this one, but it doesn't harden just by air. Something like this, but one that you have to bake. But anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. I hope it brought you some useful information, because although I watched some videos about cold porcelain and I had some information, I feel like trying it myself was much better to realize its pros and cons. Let me know in the comments if you ever tried to make your own cold porcelain at home, or did you have any similar issues as I did. Also, if you like this video, please give it a like. I would really appreciate it, because this channel is still new, so I don't have many followers. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!